All right, so with this one, we're going to learn some different ways that we could fix a photograph. Some of these things, like right up here at the top, we see the kind of the red in the sky, maybe a little too much red in the water. There's not that much contrast. It doesn't pop as much. So this will be a bunch of steps, but the final product does look quite a bit better. So our first step from this is going to be to create a new layer. So we're going to create that new layer. We're going to click right here, if you can see where my cursor is at, on that top swatch. This should pop up, and we want our code to be 7A98CE. So we can see that right here. We should get a blue color. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. And then we're going to grab the paint bucket tool, which if you realize you may not be able to see that, it is underneath the gradient tool. So if we click on that gradient, hold it down, click on the paint bucket tool, click once, make sure that you are on your new layer, click once, everything should disappear. So what we need to do now is we need to turn that layer off, make sure that you highlight the bottom layer, and then we want to go to the magic wand tool, which is underneath this quick selection tool right here. And we want to click on that. And we want these options. So we want our tolerance to be 50. The only check box should be anti-alias, and we want point sample. And then we're going to click once about right here. And then after you do that, you're going to go up to select and grow until the majority of this sky is selected. So I'm going to do it one more time. All right. So there's a little bit that's missing, but one of the next steps we'll see how to fix that. We also noticed that it went into the water. Something that you could do to fix that is click on your polygonal lasso tool, which is underneath your lasso tool. And then we want to make sure that we're clicked on this third one. It should default right here, but we want the -1 or the subtract. We should see a little minus symbol right next to the symbol for the polygonal lasso tool. And then if you remember, every time you click once with your left mouse click, it puts down an anchor point, allowing you to pivot your direction. So we just kind of want to go around this area that we don't want. Doesn't have to be precise. And when we get back to where we started, we should see a little circle. And once you click there, it should subtract that area. Now what we need to do is turn back on that top layer. Make sure you highlight that top layer. And then we want to click on the layer mask button. All right, so we should see this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to hold Alt. And if you can see where my cursor is at, we're going to click on the thumbnail of the layer mask. So it should open it up. And we see right here that we have some white speckles here, right there, right here. Might be a little bit of some black speckles in there too. So we want to take care of those. We're going to click on our brush tool and just make sure your opacity is at 100. Probably your brush size doesn't necessarily matter, but we're probably going to want our hardness to be at 100. Remember, you can always adjust the size of your brush with left bracket making it smaller and right bracket making it bigger. So right now I'm going to take care of the white speckled areas first by having black on top in my foreground swatch, and I'm just going to paint over those areas. This is a nice little way to clean up your layer mask. And by opening up your layer mask, you can actually see exactly what you may need to clean up. Now, I think I see a little bit of where I may need to add some white. So I'm going to hit X to toggle back and forth. And then I'm going to paint over these areas that may... Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click back to click back on the thumbnail of the layer, which should just be a blue square. Now, right now we see that our sky doesn't look that realistic. And so what we need to do is we need to blend it down with a blending mode, and we're going to use hue. And then from there, it looks maybe like nothing actually even happened. But if we turn this off, we can see that that little red is gone. Also, another thing we should do is label these. So we're going to actually call this, double click on the text. So where it says layer 1, double click there, and we're going to call that blue sky. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to make a copy of blue sky. Actually, the next step we're going to do, so sometimes you may not be able to fix the sky by adjusting the color. So there is another image in there we see right here that you can download that is a possibility to use for your sky. So if we click on the move tool after you've downloaded it and open it up in Photoshop, remember we click on this, we hold it down, we do not let go until we see the plus. So we're going to click on it, hold it down, and we're going to drag, we're going to highlight our image, and then when we see this plus symbol, now we can let go. So from here, what we're going to do, we see that our sky is, we can even turn off the one underneath it. Our sky is covering up our mountains, but we can bypass that by copying the layer mask up to this one. So we're going to hold Alt and click on the thumbnail of the layer mask. If you can see where my cursor is at, we should see a double cursor come up, and we're going to drag it up to that layer 1. Now from here, what we can do is we can unlink this, and that gives us the ability with our move tool on selected, we can actually move this sky around to find the best placement that we would want. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one off and turn the other one back on. But that is another way that you could fix a sky. So we're going to highlight this blue sky again, and we're going to hit Control J. All right. And we're going to actually double click on the blue sky copy, the text, and we're going to call that water. Now from here, what we're going to do is highlight this layer mask, and we're going to hit the trash can. We're not going to hit apply, we're going to hit delete. It should go all blue, and we're going to add a layer mask right here. And nothing has changed yet, but if we hit Control I, now we see that the layer mask is all black because Control I is a shortcut to invert. So what's white becomes black. And now our image is back to normal. So what we can do is grab our brush tool, make sure that we're still highlighted on that layer mask. We're going to want white on top because that's what's going to allow this blue to be taken care of. And then what you're going to do is you are going to paint over that water, and you should see it become blue, having that red disappear. And then what you'll do is you'll stay tuned for some more of those steps.